Inside the Arena is presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sportsbook.
Welcome to Inside the Arena, your source for everything off the ice, off the court, and outside the field of play. With your hosts, KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and KOMO Senior Reporter Chris Daniels.
Here we are, buddy.
Yeah.
64 straight weeks inside the arena.
That's a lot. That's like, well, no, I was going to say the NCAA tournament, you think 64, but now it's 68. I was going to, wow, we could do like each episode, and you could have a bracket, like in the NCAA tournament. And see
yeah.
But I guess we need 4 more for play-in teams.
Yeah. Well, we've in the last couple of weeks shared some of the greatest hits, so to speak, here on Inside the Arena, because we like to talk about everything that's going on off the ice, off the court, off the field of play.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't been paying attention to 64 straight weeks, shame on you, because we are here every week talking about all this stuff that doesn't necessarily happen between the lines. And this week is no different. You had a super exclusive interview.
How fun is that? And
hey, let's get some extra applause. Let's get some extra applause for that.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, it was the great Sue Bird. And need we say more? It was really special. It was the day before the statue unveiling. We aired it shortly after on our Before the Storm pregame show. Just a really, and you've interviewed Sue obviously as well, just a really cool, fun, free-flowing conversation. But at the same time, for as personable and as wonderful as she is, like, she does understand and recognize the gravity of having a statue after yourself, right? And so you'll enjoy the conversation. A lot of fun. We appreciate Sue Bird for giving us her time. I had a blast with it, and we talk about everything from the statue dedication to getting the podcast going. She has 2 of them now, one with Megan and one she does strictly on the WNBA for the most part. So we'll dive into it, but it was a great conversation.
And that statue is great outside Climate Pledge Arena. It looks just like her. Those artists nailed that one. I will say that.
That's the thing. Sometimes statues, you wonder, even really good statues, you're kind of like, but this one nailed it. And next to the Lenny one, which is beautiful as well. The Sue one, they really, especially even like the pose, the ponytail, like, I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
The pictures of her like laying the ball up and then she's standing right next to it. It's spitting image. It's great.
I got a picture of Diana Taurasi imitating the pose next to it, and Sue's having a good laugh. And that was cool. The people that were there, speeches that were made, especially Sue's. I loved what she said at the end. This is not part of the interview we're going to air, but at the end of her speech, she said, "I came to Seattle as a basketball player. I'm leaving as a Seattleite."
Nice. Well, you will hear that in just a little bit.
Yeah.
But what we like to do every week, if you haven't been paying attention, we like to talk about what's good, what's bad, off the ice, off the court, off the field of play. 4 corners. Niko, what do you like?
Well, this is coming up on one of my favorite times of year, so this is kind of a broad thing. But I love the fact that here we are in August. Seahawks are just starting. There's some renewed optimism there. The Mariners are in a playoff spot. If the playoffs were to start right now, let's not talk about the last few days earlier this week. We can talk about the prior stretch, right? But that's just going to happen in a baseball season. And then, of course, before you know it, you've got college football. The Kraken starts training camp before September's up. Storm playoffs. Let's not forget the Sounders, are an incredible tear. They didn't lose a match for about 2 months. It's just one of those things where, okay, you normally would like to be a little bit specific when we talk about these 4 corners, but you can do that. At the same time, you have to recognize how special all these teams are right now.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
In college football, I think the Cougs, the Huskies, it's going to be interesting. The Cougs kind of flying under the radar right now with Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know what to expect. And Washington State also making some changes away from the field as well. Yeah, it's a good time of the year. It's what we like to talk about on this show.
It is. There's a lot of good times a year in Seattle sports. There's never a dull moment. But this one, you have like the home stretch for teams like the Storm, Mariners. You've got the beginnings of visions of grandeur for the Seahawks, Huskies, and Cougs. It's a pretty awesome time.
Well, the thing that I think is good, and yes, this has now happened several days ago, but I just want to give a shout out to the Mariners marketing staff.
Yeah, well done.
The Ichiro weekend, I don't think could have gone any better.
Right.
The idea was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He nailed his speech once again. in front of the home crowd. I just thought it was a special moment for the franchise, a special homestand for the franchise. I believe they won 9 out of 10 in that homestand. And it really felt like, hey, this could be something special this year. But give a shout out. That's what I want to do here for that Mariners marketing staff and the folks behind the scene who really put that all together and made it such a special weekend.
It was perfect. It was emotional being there. And I love that Ichiro gave the speech to the team, seized the opportunity. They go on a tear from there. And now when you're on social media, you get the Mariners ads that pop up because of the algorithm, and they say seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's another kudos to that Mariners front office staff seizing the opportunity, telling fans to seize the opportunity.
And Randy and him throwing the pitch back and forth to 251s. Randy's getting honored next year. It was well done and well executed, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So what don't you like?
Well, one thing I don't like, and I'm not going to condone the actions of Victor Robles. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He threw his bat towards the pitcher, not really at him, but towards him, threw the sunflower seeds. And listen, ejection, of course, suspension, of course. But my question is, why are there not really any repercussions for the guys who threw at him 5 times in 15 at bats? Think about that. You were hit 5 times, not in 5 games, in 15 at bats.
Yeah, I mean the video,
insane.
The John Boy, with the video showing how many times he had been hit,
right?
All the pitches that had been thrown at him, and he finally lost his cool. He was close before that, but I think the same pitcher involved too, right?
Right, and that's the thing. You talk to Victor Robles, like he is not what you saw the other day. I think any of us would have lost our mind after getting hit that many times, with the added caveat that they're like hitting near his shoulder, which he's trying to rehab. That's the whole reason he's there. And so, listen, I don't have a problem with Robles getting ejected, suspended, of course. I think they will appeal 10 games because now this affects the Mariners because it's 10 big league games.
Yeah.
It's not 10 games in Tacoma. And so I think that will get reduced upon appeal. But aside from all that, which to extents are justified, why aren't we holding the guys accountable? Like, you can say, oh, they didn't mean it, but okay, 5 times in 15 at bats is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't pitch, you know what I'm saying? So again, that's what I don't like about it, is that there's holding only one side accountable and there's not really much of an understanding of what the guy's going through. Never mind even the off the field stuff. You mentioned his mother passing and things like that. Just even within the scope of baseball, like, what did you think was going to happen? And there's got to be some dual accountability there, in my opinion.
I think he will be showing the video evidence.
Yes. Oh yeah. How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not?
Well, the thing I don't like this week, and I had some people sending messages to me on social media. Hey, Chris, what's the deal with the Rain City Classic? You know, the last 3 years, the NBA has come to Climate Pledge Arena for an exhibition game. All 3 years have involved the Los Angeles Clippers, of course, owned by Seattle area native Steve Ballmer. The Clippers have put out their preseason schedule, and it does not include Seattle. There had been some speculation going into this season that perhaps with the brand new arena down in Inglewood that Steve Ballmer has built, the Intuit Arena, that perhaps he would not want to give away a game night and come to Seattle. There has been nothing announced yet, no indication that anything will be announced, but the preseason schedules have been announced, and Seattle is not part of that right now. And I think if you're somebody who follows the NBA to Seattle story, you're looking at that and maybe reading between the lines to try and figure out, well, does that mean the NBA is not as interested in Seattle as maybe they were the last few years?
I mean, that's not my interpretation. It may be, right? Yeah. But that's not my interpretation. My interpretation is just what you said, the new arena down in LA. You can't, Steve Ballmer has been great for bringing these games up here. It has been Clippers home games, even if we've seen a team that is closer proximity in the Blazers. But that's how I read into it. And who knows, maybe the Blazers come up or whatever at some point in the future too. But that's all I'm reading into it as well.
Well, that's a great segue, by the way, for the Supersonic Minute.
I missed that buzzer.
Because the Blazers, it's interesting. They have been involved in 2 of those 3 games. And some have speculated behind the scenes, hey, Portland's also trying to kick the tires on Seattle, maybe, because we know that the Allen estate has owned them now for several years since the death of Paul Allen. and the team would be sold at a certain point in time. And so there was always a question, maybe Portland's looking at Seattle. Well, hey, there's been news on this.
Yes.
And it's a big number. Tom Dundon, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, interestingly enough, with a very similar logo to the Portland Trailblazers.
That's true.
With a couple of other investors involved, has purchased or has a purchase agreement to buy the Blazers for over $4 billion. Remember when we were talking about an expansion fee of like $2-3 billion? Well, Portland's going to help reset the market on that too. It appears that all systems are go on that, that all the financing is in place. At least the agreement right now, according to multiple reports, is an exclusive deal, meaning that the Allen estate cannot negotiate with anyone else. And it's a atypical sale in the NBA because it's an estate rather than an individual or group selling the franchise. But what comes with that is the Dundon Group is saying that they intend to keep the team in Portland. We know that Adam Silver, back in July in Las Vegas, said he believes a new arena needs to be built there. So a lot of people are watching the words very carefully of the NBA and of the Dundon Group if they get this done, perhaps by March of next year. Whether they're going to make a full court press, yes, pun intended, to try and build a new arena in Portland or some sort of major renovation down in the Rose Garden area.
Right. And that's something worth following. You know, you want to take the words at face value, no question about that. But I don't have to remind you that sometimes those words are said and they aren't exactly meant. No reason to suspect otherwise here, but maybe they're kicking the tires on Seattle. Shoot. I mean, you think about the Hurricanes being in Raleigh-Durham, that's a basketball hotbed too. I know Charlotte's just down the road, but so if I was a Blazers fan, would I be absolutely unconcerned? No. Am I worried? Also no. Somewhere like scale 1 to 10, maybe like a 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of the major investors is from Portland.
Exactly. That's why I'm not that worried about it.
And Dundon also in Carolina just worked out a deal to build a bunch of other development around the arena.
Mm-hmm.
That team was languishing and was an expansion or a relocation candidate before he took over. He has since invested around the arena, and the team has been knocking on the door of the Stanley Cup now for several years. The belief is maybe he's making a real estate play down in Portland and also will be a very active owner and perhaps improve that franchise. But you know what it does at $4 billion is it makes that expansion fee perhaps for Seattle even higher.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, Celtics at 6, right?
Yeah.
Portland just over 4, maybe somewhere in the middle, which is a lot higher than, as you mentioned, something we were talking about probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
That's what's happened here.
Well, should we also talk about the current basketball team in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I talked to Sue about, how the Storm has, we know Seattle is a basketball and the Storm has carried the torch even while the Sonics were here, but certainly in their absence over these last almost 20 years. So this is an amazing conversation. Obviously, talking about the GOAT, talking about this immortalizing, so to speak, of an honor. One of my favorite conversations I've had. We'll bring it to you right after the break.
Luxury has arrived at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. The hotel is officially open. Book now for an unforgettable experience. Enjoy sweeping Cascade views, a new sports bar, and play your favorite games. Visit snowcasino.com for details. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
I mean, I'll just start with how fun this is. How obvious, I mean, there's a statue.
Yeah.
Of you going up. I mean, what is the reaction, both when you heard about that and even when you think about it today ahead of the unveiling?
I mean, well, the reaction initially was like, seriously? You know, like a statue? But obviously, every word you could think of. It's an honor. I feel a lot of pride. I feel so connected to the city. So to have so many people, I mean, it always takes a village, and it definitely took one, both for mine and for Lenny's statue. I feel really honored to be next to Lenny Wilkens out there. Everything you could think of is all that I'm feeling.
I'm always struck by when you think about like full circle moments, like kid on Long Island's gonna have a statue in Seattle one day. You know what I'm saying? Like how crazy to think about how life can take these turns and that sort of thing.
Yeah, never would have even thought this was a possibility when I got here. in 2002. I knew we had a good team. You know, it was me, it was Lauren, we were building something. But to look back on my career and see all that we've accomplished, and to have a statue that's going to be there forever, honoring that, you know, showcasing it, telling a story. You know, it's about Storm culture and, again, what we've built. So it's pretty incredible. Thinking
about kids that are going to be walking by it, countless, right?
Yeah.
And I think, but I have a little 3-year-old at home, and I get to explain to him, yeah, that's Sue. She did this and that. From that perspective, I mean, how special was that part of it?
Yeah, so special. I feel really lucky. You know, listen, the statue is in this like whole other category of its own. But I feel like a lot of my career and a lot of people in my generation, we've been able to inspire younger generations. So, you know, whether it's a young girl who's going to walk by that statue and maybe be inspired by it, maybe want to, you know, be that person one day, or a young boy who now sees women in these positions, sees a woman as a professional athlete who had a career in a city, won championships, and now has a statue, so he can see that that's possible for young girls and for women. So for both, I feel really lucky that that's what the statue also represents. But I feel like my generation's really been a part of changing a lot of narratives around what women can do.
And that was actually my next question. It's obvious the special and the meaning for a young girl in Seattle that gets to see that statue, but it is also young boys and the growth of women's sports in general. Certainly you and Megan have just had this enormous role in that. I keep saying how special it is because it is just that, but how special is that to look back and see the difference and the change that you all affected?
Yeah. I mean, so much of what I've been able to do personally, individually, so much of what we've been able to do with the Storm as a team, as a franchise. There's a lot of different ways in which we've changed, you know, culture, which is a huge statement in a lot of ways, but it's really true. I think we've changed it from just like a pure sports standpoint, the way we played, the way we won year after year, always being competitive. I think we've changed it, like you said, in terms of who we've inspired and who now maybe wants to, who might be 5 years old dreaming to play in the WNBA. That's a big part of my story, not having a WNBA to dream about. So yeah, we've touched culture in all these different ways.
And certainly it's a similar question, but specifically with the W. I mean, from when you were a rookie to where it is now, I mean, it's just
crazy.
It is crazy, and certainly a huge part in that, and maybe the biggest part in that. I know you're humble and don't want to say it in that way, but we can look at it from the outside. Looking at the difference in from your rookie to even where it is now, how great things are, even things that players are getting right. You know, knowing the part you had in that, how great is that part of it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally everything we were fighting for. There was no way to predict how fast it would happen, so the speed of it has been probably the most rewarding thing, because we really knew, all of us knew, we knew how special the WNBA was, we knew how great the competition was, how great the players were, we knew we had something, but we just needed people to give us coverage, you know, obviously invest in us, all the things everybody knows now. So to see it turn so quick really just proves us right. We knew it was special, and I take a lot of pride in being a part of any of it. I know my fingerprints are here and there, and that feels really good.
You know, and we keep talking about the effect the statue will have on somebody.
Yeah.
When a parent walks by with the kid, what part maybe excites you more, explaining the accolades on the court, the championships, or what we just talked about, the way the game was changed in your time?
Yeah, I think what's so beautiful about when you see the statue, you'll see what they have written out. And the statue itself, I mean, these are things that can't be argued. We won championships, we changed culture, we pushed you know, a lot of negative narratives to the side and really pushed a lot of positive agendas forward. And these are things that are real, these are things that you can't take away, you can't rewrite history. And the statue, again, that'll be there forever. Hopefully nobody's knocking that thing down. So to know you've had permanent impact is amazing.
And that was the next thing. It's so permanent, right? Like the jerseys and the rafters, and that's wonderful too. But the statue is kind of like a totally different animal in that regard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't even know. I know. I was joking the other night. I'm like, between the jersey and a street being named after me, and now the statue. Yeah, I pretty much own the city. I don't know how else to say it. No, I'm joking.
No one can argue with that.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I think a statue is totally different, right? Whether it's the other athletes in Seattle who have had statues. I'm now in some pretty elite company, pretty impactful athletes. But when you look kind of like more nationally, even globally, there's not a lot of women. Asia Wilson has a statue at South Carolina. which is amazing and deserved. But there's really not that many women who have statues. Pat Summitt has one, from her coaching career at Tennessee. But, so hopefully this is just the start of more women getting recognized in this way.
Yeah, the first one dedicated by a W franchise.
Yeah.
And hopefully not the last. And that's just part of the impact continuing too, right?
Yeah. It's pretty, there's not many things I've been the first at. This, and I think winning in 2004 here in Seattle with the Storm, that was the Storm's first championship. Everything else I've been a part of, it's been, trying to keep a legacy going, not necessarily creating one. So the statue being the first, that's something that is really meaningful to me.
And this is something that becomes the fabric of Seattle, right? Whether it's somebody who lives here, every time I walk to the arena, I'm going to look for it.
Yeah.
But even people who travel here, that's the Sioux statue, things like that. And knowing what this city means to you, right? Like how cool is that part of it, that you have this, like, for lack of a better term, like landmark, whatever it might be in this city.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully I make one of those lists.
Right?
When people come to town and they're like,
so.
what should I go look for? But my relationship with the city, I've talked about it a ton, just the connection, the way they support women's sports, the way they support all sports. This is by far, I've traveled the world. This is by far, if not the best, one of the best sports cities, and just the way that everyone is embraced. I even think of, how they have a Seattle Sports Awards night for all the sports teams. Not many cities do that, to bring us all together, and so you feel that connectedness within just like the fabric of other sports teams, Seahawks, Mariners, even UW, Washington State, whatever it is. You feel very connected, but then that also connects you to the city itself.
What was it like, as a rookie coming to Seattle, other side of the country?
Man, I was like, what is this place?
Yeah,
and it's totally different.
And they did embrace you, right? There was no Seattle freeze, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't get the freeze. I figured out what the freeze was, though.
Sure,
the freeze exists, but no, I had no freeze. Everybody was incredibly warm and welcoming. My teammates were incredibly warm and welcoming, showing me where to go get breakfast, showing me where the grocery store is, like all the things that you have to learn to do when you're becoming an adult. And that's really what Seattle is for me. I became an adult in this city. I started venturing out and trying new restaurants. I wasn't just eating at Fridays anymore. I'm like, Wasabi Bistro, that's kind of fun. That was one of the first sushi spots I ever went to. So just being able to grow here, have that connection again with the city, have them be so warm and welcoming. But there was some culture shock moments for sure.
Yeah.
Like the jaywalking. I've talked about all this stuff, but nobody jaywalks. I'm from New York.
So
I was like, what is going on? I don't get it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm from New York as well. I was like, what is, but I love it here. I'm never leaving. So on a similar note here too, it's one of those things too where, gosh, everybody, sports fan or not, when they, if they say they're from Seattle, they're talking to somebody from out of town, like they're so proud to talk about your legacy here. Yeah. And I know, and I keep asking this in different ways, but in that light, that's such a neat thing, at least for me on the outside to think about. I can't imagine what it's like for you personally.
Yeah, to build off what I was saying about just how special this sports community is, it's also like that between the athletes. I remember, meeting Jamal Crawford when I was probably in my first or second year, becoming friends with him, and he never got to play for the Sonics, but obviously one of the Seattle greats. He reps Seattle everywhere he goes, everywhere he has been, and then I ran into him probably heading into my last year, and he kind of made some comment. He's like, oh yeah, Sue's from Seattle. And I was like, I kind of corrected him. I was like, well, I've been here a long time, but I'm not really from here. He's like, nah. He's like, you're from here. And that meant a lot, because he really, to me, him, Isaiah, the list goes on. Even the guys that played for the Sonics obviously left. They still own homes here. I ran into PJ Carlissimo a couple months ago at the grocery store. And it goes, not just the Sonics, all the other sports teams, all the other athletes. Obviously, I'm friends with the women on the Reign as well. So it's just a really tight-knit community that's really special to be a part of.
I would have loved to have been at the store when you run into PJ.
Yeah, I was like, PJ, what's up?
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
we shop at supermarkets just like everybody else,
Exactly, no kidding. And to that point, everybody knows Seattle is a basketball town. And it was unfortunate what happened with the Sonics, but it was you and it was the Storm. They made sure it never stopped being a basketball town, and maybe even more than ever. Yeah. How neat is that part of it?
Yeah, when the Sonics left, it really was sad. I was really sad. I love basketball. I love NBA basketball. I see what NBA teams and WNBA teams do for communities. So I was really sad, but at the same time, we did want to carry on the tradition of Seattle basketball. We did want to make sure we continued to hold it down, I guess, until the Sonics come back, which I'm sure they will. But yeah, we became the professional basketball to watch in this city. And there was something that, was really special about that.
In retirement a couple years now, just being able to look back as we have, does it give more clarity on everything that was achieved now that you're a couple years? Like, you're not in the daily grind of it, right?
No, yeah, I don't miss the daily grind. I miss the playoffs.
Sure.
I still miss the playoffs. That became pretty clear pretty quick. I go to a ton of games, as everyone knows. I try to stay connected. If I'm not in Seattle going to games, Megan and I also live in New York from, half the year. So I go to the Liberty games there just to show support. It's always go Storm, though, don't worry. But yeah, I even the very first game I went to after retirement, like my very first year, I was like, oh man, I do not want to play defense. Like, oh, I do not want to be setting screens. But when the playoffs started, I missed it all over again. So I think that'll just be the case for forever. I'm always going to miss big games, but I don't miss the grind. And, the games that I look back on that, I wish I could do again, some of those tougher losses, yeah, they still sting. I still don't like talking about them, but I have no regrets otherwise. I feel really fulfilled by my career, and I'm really proud of it.
I want to talk about the podcast in a minute, but the last
Sure.
thing I want to talk about in this regard is, and it's such a broad question, so you take a second, and I apologize in advance, but I'm struck by, anybody watching this interview, basketball fan or not, what's that one piece of advice? What made you be able to, message, piece of advice that helped you through what was such a special time?
It is, well, okay. First of all, it's two words that are so easy to say. It's a cliche in a sense, but it's be yourself. And it cracks me up because in one of my early years, I think maybe my second year, maybe my rookie year, I partnered with like a kids book company, Positively for Kids, I think it was called, and we did a children's book. And the title of the book was Be Yourself. Be Yourself by Sue Bird. I think Gary Payton had one, Confidence Counts. There was like these light books for kids. And my book and my message was all about being yourself. And it cracks me up when I look back. Because if I had to guess the year, I'd say 2003. So I'm like 22, 23 years old. I don't think I even knew who I was yet.
Sure.
I wasn't even doing that yet. I was trying, but I'm like, I didn't really know. And I think at times, and this is where the advice part kicks in, at times it can be hard just to simply be yourself. And I think now, especially for younger people with social media and everything that's going on in the world, it can even be more difficult. But there's really nothing better than being able to be in your skin, authentically yourself. And that's really where you get to find out who you are and what your character's like, and you get to make mistakes but then grow from them. And you can't be a professional athlete without it. You can't do what you do without it. Everything in life is touched by you showing up as yourself. So that's, I guess, my advice.
You take a lot of courage, right?
A ton of courage.
Yeah.
But you have to be, I think a big part of courage is understanding it's not always going to go perfect.
Absolutely.
You're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from them.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate everything you're doing, 2 podcasts, a touch more. First of all, the interviews are great, but I think my favorite part is just you and Megan bantering at the beginning of a touch more, and of course Bird's Eye View as well. How is that, post-retirement, but obviously not really retired because you're still doing a lot of things. How has that transition been for you? How fun is it? Like, how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. A Touch More, the podcast that Megan and I do together, that started as something we just, I don't even know. We were in the pandemic. We were bored. We started getting on Instagram Live, and then it grew to what it is now. But it really started as live shows. So I think that's why a lot of our podcast is just us, like yakking and bantering, going back and forth. But we do want to talk about more of the different ways that I guess society, culture interacts with women's sports. So yeah, every now and then we'll like break down a game, or Megan will talk about what's going on in the NWSL. But for the most part, it's like, oh, did you see the New York Liberty at the Met Gala? Did you like their outfits? It's a lot of culture conversations too. And then of course we bring on guests. And then for Bird's Eye View, that's just like 100% an interview show. At the top of every episode, I'll give a couple tidbits on what I'm seeing around the WNBA. It's 100% WNBA focused for now. We'll see. And it's been so much fun. You know what I've learned about podcasts is really like anything. You go in with kind of like one idea of what you think it's going to be, or what you maybe even want it to be. And then ultimately it just takes on a life of its own. So this kind of sort of started as, WNBA player focused, but it's really become like an interview show where you can get to know these players. And I am not a professional interviewer. I own that right out the gate, but I do have a ton of experience as a player. I do know these players. And so I think that conversation is just different from what you might get if somebody went on a proper interview show. And it's been really fun to help players get their stories out there, help people learn more about where they're from, who they are, why they play the way they play, and maybe some of the harder things they've gone through.
Well, I was just going to say I think that's one of the most fun parts about it. It's so authentic. It's people you know, and it's going directly to you and Megan, or in case of Bird's Eye View, just you. And so how special is it to connect directly with the audience in that way?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think a big part of growing the sports business, we've figured this out for sure, and we have to keep doing it, is just having more people can create more content, because when you showcase a player's journey, kind of how I just outlined it, I think people get connected to them in a different way, right? Fans get connected to them in a different way, and it helps grow their personal business, but really the WNBA's business in general. So it's, in some ways, I feel like I'm still doing my part to help the WNBA grow.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. We see you talk to players and across sports and things like that. How neat is it that it's become this platform, certainly to celebrate, but also like these athletes want to be on your show, right?
Yeah. That's actually one of the best compliments that Megan and I can receive, is when we hear of, a player who just finished winning the European Championship, the Euros in soccer, Lucy Bronze, like she wants to come on our podcast. She's down to do it, she's looking forward to it even. So it's great when we're around and athletes are like, yo, when are you going to invite me on? It gives us, we're like, okay, this is, they're enjoying this. This is good.
And you're just having fun with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nothing. Yeah. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, on a touch more. We'll ask questions that are relevant and that we think people might want to know the answer to. Same for Bird's Eye View. I'm not trying to catch anybody in a gotcha moment. I'm not even trying to go viral. I just want it to be fun, interesting conversations.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's how I try to do it. But hey, last thing I'll ask on this front, just the idea that, I kind of asked it a minute ago from the standpoint of being able to connect directly with the audience, but from a standpoint of like you can see directly what your fans are saying too.
Yeah.
And certainly that's part of social media, right?
Yeah.
Like any platform. But how neat is it to kind of see it in that way? Like, Sue, not just that we love you and sort of thing, but like the feedback on the show, and how, quite frankly, universally loved it is to see you guys doing your thing.
Yeah. When we're out in the wild and people come up to us like, oh, we watch your podcast, or oh, I listen to your podcast, or, sometimes people will even like recite certain moments or parts that connected with them or that they loved. For a touch more, Megan and I we show our relationship like a little bit. We do these joking segments called Bickers of the Week. Just those dumb things that you argue about, with the person you're in a relationship with. And people seem to really like that. So that's why actually a couple weeks ago, we're like, maybe we should tell a story of when we're on the same team. We're not always fighting. It's not always bickers. But it's been really fun. And people love it and they choose sides. And it's actually a great way to, like you said, connect with the audience.
Awesome. Well, we love it. Super. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Yeah, I appreciate
you.
Thanks.
Thanks again to Sue Bird. One of my favorite parts there is how Jamal Crawford told her, you're from Seattle. She's like, well, actually, I'm from, Long Island. He's like, you're from Seattle. And I think all of us have been so blessed to claim Sue, so to speak, as a Seattleite, as one of ours as she enters. So great conversation. And before we go, Chris, I do want to give a shout out. This as well. What a great job by Rise Above, the gala they had last week. God, what a great time, or not a great time, but a great event, doing so many great things. You've chronicled, what Jackie does so often. So let's give them a shout out as well.
Well, and people, if they want to, should go and just search out the common freestyle rap he did at Garfield High School I'm told on the fly, not pre-scripted at all. And it's amazing. And the Rise Above group and Jackie and Brad did a great job there. Their first ever gala, and raised a lot of money for a good cause.
Absolutely. Two great people right there.
Yeah.
You know who else is great?
I know what you're going to say.
David Lee.
You've been listening to Inside the Arena with Niko and Chris. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time.
Inside the Arena was presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sports book.